Is Ruben Ippolite about to blow up the NFL right under everyone's nose? I don't think people understand how quietly dangerous this situation has become in Chicago, how an overlooked fourth-round rookie out of Maryland is now making noise that's impossible to ignore, and how what started as a training camp placeholder might soon explode into something much bigger, something that could reshape this Bears defense in ways no one saw coming. Except, well, maybe us, because we called it from the start. And if you're just now jumping on the bandwagon, let me welcome you to a movement that was born not out of media hype or combined flash, but out of cold, relentless, underrated grind. Because what Ruben Ippolite is doing right now isn't normal. It's threatening. Threatening to veterans. Threatening to depth charts. Threatening to front office narratives that assumed the linebacker room was locked in with Tremaine Edmunds and T.J. Edwards at the helm. But what happens when the kid who wasn't even invited to the combine shows up at OTAs and starts turning heads? What happens when Ben Johnson, your new head coach, walks to the podium and singles out one name? Not a high-priced free agent, not a headline rookie, but Ruben Ippolite. As the guy who made the most growth this spring? You lean in. That's what. You start watching. You start asking the dangerous question. What if this wasn't an accident? What if this kid is exactly what they thought he was when Ryan Poles used a fourth-round pick on a linebacker no one projected to go that early? And let's stop there for a moment, because draft capital tells you something, especially when it doesn't match the media's board. Some scouts had Ippolite as a UDFA. Dane Brugler slapped a seventh-round grade on him. No combine invite. Barely a whisper in pre-draft coverage. But the Bears, saw something that made them pull the trigger early day 3. That means they saw something real. Not just traits, not just measurables, but makeup, mentality, leadership. That top 30 visit with Ippolite? Reportedly, one of the most impressive of the year. The Bears weren't guessing. They were betting on character. And now? Now that bet is starting to mature, and fast. Because with T.J. Edwards sidelined with a soft tissue injury during OTAs, Ruben got thrown into the fire. First-team reps at a position he had never played. That's right. This dude was a career middle linebacker at Maryland. And now, in Chicago, he's repping at weak side linebacker, learning on the fly, adjusting in real time. And instead of drowning in the complexity, he swam, showing range, quick processing, fluid hips in coverage, and the ability to scrape and pursue like someone who's done it for years. That doesn't just happen. That's instincts. That's film study. That's preparation. And now, he's not just a camp body. He's not just an upside flyer. He's in the conversation. LB3, it's wide open. And make no mistake, the Bears want him to take that job. They won't say it publicly, but the writing's on the wall. They cut Jack Sanborn. They're giving Ippolite real snaps. They're feeding him real competition. Why? Because they're not building for now. They're building for 2025, 2026, 2027. If Ruben Ippolite takes that LB3 role, you suddenly have a cheap, athletic, smart linebacker under contract for 4 years. And what does that do? It opens the door to moving on from expensive veterans like Tremaine Edmunds if he doesn't elevate his play. This is chess, not checkers. This is about cap space. This is about roster flexibility. And when a fourth-rounder gives you the option to dump an $18 million linebacker and not lose a beat, that's value. That's control. But the implications go deeper. Because if Ippolite doesn't win the job, then the Bears are right back where they started, hoping someone like Noah Sewell, still unproven, figures it out fast, or relying on a special teamer like Amen to step in and play real snaps. That's not ideal. That's panic depth. And you know the Bears want no part of that. Which brings us to the next critical point. Hippolyte's floor is high. Even in the worst-case scenario, this kid's speed and experience make him a near lock for special teams. Kickoff, punt, return, gunner, he's built for that role. But that's not what this is really about, is it? This is about the upside. This is about what happens if he doesn't just contribute, but breaks out. And I mean really breaks out. What happens if by mid-season, he's not just your LB3, but your top reserve, your spot starter, your next man up if someone gets hurt? What happens if by season's end, the coaching staff starts talking about 2025 with Hippolyte as one of their core 2 linebackers? That would flip everything. That would make Edmonds expendable. That would send a message. No job is safe. No contract is sacred. And don't kid yourself. This front office is always looking ahead. They're already playing out the 2025 offseason in their minds. They know Edmonds' contract becomes easy to move on from. They know that if Hippolyte can play, they can reinvest that money elsewhere. And suddenly, that 4th-round pick turns into a franchise-altering move. But to get there, Hippolyte has to prove it in pads. Because let's not lie, spring ball is shorts and helmets. It's angles and concepts, not collisions. When the pads come on in training camp, that's when we find out if Hippo can hit, if he can hold the edge, if he can shed blocks from pulling guards and light up a back in the flat. And if he can, then we're not just talking about depth. We're talking about destiny. We're talking about one of the biggest steals of the 2024 draft, a combine snub who took the slight personally, a draft afterthought turned cornerstone. And man, if you listen to this kid talk, the calmness, the intelligence, the ownership, it's crystal clear why the Bears believed in him. He's not just athletic, he's coachable. He's not just explosive, he's intentional. That's the kind of player you build around. That's the kind of player that ends up wearing the green dot one day. And maybe that's too soon. Maybe that's a stretch. But is it? The league is full of guys who weren't supposed to make it. And you know what most of them have in common? They were professionals before they had the title. Ruben Hippolyte carries himself like a pro. 4-year starter in the Big Ten.